Hey everyone, Casey Edwards of Edwards Golf Performance, and this is stick mobility. I'm assuming if you found this video, you've either heard of stick mobility or you're looking for some stretching or mobility exercises related to golf. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you just a couple movements that I think really work really well with golfers, things that have helped me a lot, things that have helped clients of mine, and we're going to look at a bunch of different things. Going to work on some pelvic control, going to work on thoracic rotation, going to work on hip movement, especially hip rotation, try to work on some thoracic side bending, and try to work a little bit on some motor control things that I think will really help you out as far as either warm-ups for golf or to help you be a little bit more consistent as far as just building some athleticism. And again, this is aimed at golfers, but that doesn't mean it won't help anybody else. I've done a lot of things with stick mobility for tennis athletes, soccer players, people recovering from ACL rehab. I think this is a great tool. If you don't have one and you want one, I encourage you to go over to Stick Mobility and pick up one. This is the 6-foot model. I'm under 6 feet, so that's the one they recommend, and I think this model works really well for most people. If you want a discount, you can use promo code EdwardsGolf. That's one word. I'll put that down in the comments. And again, just want to say thank you for choosing this channel, and I appreciate any support. If you hit subscribe, I will add some more videos on this topic, hopefully going forward. And please comment in the comment section below. Let me know if there are things that are helping. Let me know if there are things you need to modify and you have any questions. I am here to help you out. That is why this video is here. And let's get started. So the first thing I want to do as far as golf, I'm TPI certified, Titleist Performance certified, and one thing that they really talk about is pelvic control. So the first thing I want to focus on is pelvic control. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the stick. You're going to have it in front of you. I want you to put hands a little bit above eye level, so a little bit above your shoulders. And from there, I want you to get into your golf stance. And the first thing I want to see is, can we tilt the pelvis forward, backward, anterior, and posterior? So as you're here, getting in a nice little golf stance, I want to see, can we round the back, tuck under, posterior pelvic tilt, whatever you want to call it. And then can we arch the back in the other direction? A lot like what you do in a cat camel on the floor. So as you're holding the stick, I can put pressure down to the ground, engage my abs, round over in a posterior tilt, tilt forward, anterior. And I just want you to go back and forth. This is a really important movement when it comes to initiating the downswing, creating power, and having a connection between the upper and lower body. So after you feel like you have really good control with this, we're going to work on rotation. This is probably one of the hardest things for most amateur golfers to do, is to find out how to dissociate their upper body from their lower body. And this is a drill I've really loved. Without stick mobility, I would never have found this drill, and it has helped a lot of people really figure this out. So I like to have it straight arm. You can do it with bent elbows. It works really well. I just find that having straight arms helps me really lock in my upper body. So I'm going to put one hand in the middle of the stick, one hand on the grip. It's wherever you feel comfortable as far as your shoulder width. I'm going to get into an athletic stance. I'm going to push this stick into the wall. I encourage you, if you're going to pick a wall, try to pick one in your basement or pick one where you have an idea where the stud is. That's really going to help you as far as not shoving this thing through the drywall. I don't want to hear any comments about that. So I know there's a stud here right next to this outlet. So I'm putting pressure into the wall with my hands, driving it into the wall. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to rotate my lower body away from the wall towards the wall. This is going to heat up all your abdominals. My obliques are on. It's very hard to talk as I'm doing this. So I want you to breathe. You can have a conversation with somebody as you're doing this. That's a good indicator that you can do this well. And I just want to see pelvic rotation right and left. You can switch that to the other side and do the exact same thing. But just for the sake of the video, I'm going to skip that. The thing I really see in a lot of golfers is they don't have a lot of stability. And rather than doing some boring balance exercises, I like to use this to do something a little bit more dynamic. So I do a modified single leg deadlift. So what that looks like is I put it in front of one of my feet. In this case, it's in my right hand, so I put it in front of my right foot. I'm going to bring my knee up so that it's just about to touch the stick. With a straight arm, I want to push that stick away from me, and at the same time, I'm going to push my heel behind me. So I'm going to take a big bow forward. In this position, using the stick, I can get a nice stretch through my pec, and I can really elongate through my leg. I want you to push through the heel in the rear, trying to get a nice straight line from your hand all the way down to your heel. Then you're going to come all the way up nice and strong, squeeze your butt on the stance leg, and go all the way back down again. Whole time through all this stuff that we do, I want you to take nice deep breaths. Then we can switch to the other side. I'll show you this one head on. I can make a couple of points here. Now I got left hand, left foot off the ground. My left elbow stays totally straight as I push straight back behind me. One thing I want to point out, what happens to a lot of people, especially if we do this without the assistance of a stick, is as they bow forward, they start to open their body up because this feels like a more stable position. This is a much harder position to maintain with this neutral or even closed hip, and I want you to practice that. Because as we come through to the ball and we come through to impact position, we're primarily weight bearing on our lead foot, and we're coming in with a closed pelvis. So I want to see weight bearing, neutral pelvis, and the ability to control that. So you can use this stick to really help with maintaining that position. I think that's absolutely one of the best things you can do as a golfer, especially for, I mean, I won't even say, my young golfers, my junior golfers do really well with this. It really helps them out to the point where they can get rid of it, and we can start doing a lot more dynamic things. We can get to the point where we're going arms out for stability, leg is up, come all the way down, and I love to see, can we get pelvic control here? And that's really hard to do for a lot of people. So if you can start with something like this and get comfortable with opening and closing here with just some assistance, it makes a really big difference. The next thing I want to do stretches a lot of things. It's probably one of the most intense things. I hear a lot of big exhales when I do it with people or do it in classes. So this is a modified Slapshot first, and then we'll go into the full-blown Slapshot. So I want you wider than your golf stance. So a lot of times you can kind of windshield wiper your feet out in and out to get some width. I'm going to put the stick inside my right big toe. My right hand is going to reach for the top. I like to tell people to kind of hold it so my palm is facing towards me, not away, so I'm in kind of a bowed or a wrist position. My other hand is going to dive down to the bottom of the stick, onto the grip. If you really feel like you can't get there and you need to grip on the orange part, that's fine, but I want you to really aim for the grip as much as we can. So just from the start here, I'm already getting a really big pec stretch. Probably shouldn't have done chest day right before this. And I'm also getting a big groin stretch through here. One thing we can do is just work a little bit of the neck as well. So we're going to hang out here, take some deep breaths, looking down at the floor with my eyes. I'm going to start to turn my head, look up at the ceiling, back down at the floor, back up at the ceiling. Get a couple reps in here so that maybe we can forget about the fact that our chest is screaming at us, or that our adductors are also screaming. And then from here, I have most of my weight on my right foot. I'm now going to shift, straightening my right leg and bending my left leg to shift over to the left. And then I'm going to shift back to the right, back to the left, back to the right, and one last time back over. Now, if that was intense for you, you might not want to do this next one, but I'm going to do the harder one, and I'm going to do that for the other side. So now I'm going to put the stick on the curve of my low back, just above my waistline. I'm going to also hold on the grips to start. I'm going to take the same wide stance. And from here I'm going to rotate to my left now. So I'm actually going to still have the right side of the stick on the ground. If you're going the other way, it's in front here, diving down. I am still rotating to my left. So I'm holding here. I'm going to bow forward as much as I can until I get hamstring tension. We don't need to go any further than that. They'll start to recruit some lumbar spine, which we don't need. So nice flat back. I'm going to turn to my left and jab this thing into the ground to keep it there. Now I've got my hand locked behind me, my hand on the floor, bending my left knee, bending my right knee. And this is just a little bit more advanced. You'll feel a little bit more in the shoulder potentially, but I really like this one a lot because I can really lock in to the bottom here onto the floor. If it needs to be more intense and I want to get more rotation, I just move the stick further. If I want to get less, I just move the stick back. So it's nice to be able to modify that one as well. Usually, big exhale after that one. So the next thing I want to look at is shoulders. So I want to do a little bit of shoulder mobility, but I want it to be a little bit more active. So we're going to put the stick in front of us, both hands on the grip. First thing I want you to do, you're going to squeeze together. I'm trying to compress this stick inward. So I'm holding here, the stick is on my chest, I'm pulling inward. Really hard. I am trying to crush this stick in my hands. So I'm squeezing in, and then I'm trying to pull out. I'm trying to pull it apart. Big pull apart, squeeze, pull, squeeze, pull, squeeze, pull. If you got that and you want to make it harder, you're going to squeeze now. You're going to think kayaker. So you're going to start making circles. I'm going forward here. I'm squeezing the entire time, squeezing in. Now I'm going to go reverse, still squeezing. Big circles, really try and stretch out the chest, get the shoulder blades active, get all the rotator cuff muscles active, and moving through there. Same thing, pull it apart. So now I'm pulling apart, trying to do the same thing, starting out backward. All right, so from a kneeling position, we can do a lot of things to really open up the hips, open up the thoracic spine, and try to see if we can generate a little bit more rotation. So the first thing I like to do is start to work hip flexors, a little bit of this anterior chain, and a little bit of lat as well. So what I want you to do is I want you to get into a lunge. And one position I really want to emphasize here is I want the shin to be vertical on the front leg, I want the thigh to be vertical on the rear leg, and kind of make a right angle everywhere we can. I'm going to put the stick in my right hand, sort of in line with my left heel. So my hand is at the very top along the grip here. I'm going to get into this position. I want to be as tall as I can. I'm going to put pressure down into the ground with my right hand. I'm going to take my entire setup and I'm just going to tilt forward. As I tilt forward, I'm going to start to get a little bit of a stretch through maybe a little bit of my obliques, a little bit of my hip flexor, a little bit of my quad. If you don't feel that, I want you to think about the first thing we did, that anterior, posterior pelvic tilt. I want you to posteriorly pelvic tilt. Squeeze your butt cheek, engage your abs, try and roll everything backwards. That'll establish some tension there. So we're going to start to lean forward, big stretch down my entire right side. If you want to make it worse, I'm going to have you turn to the left. As you turn to the left, you should feel a lot more stretch. Maybe a little bit of side bend, drop in the right shoulder will help a little here. The other thing I like to add is taking the hand and starting to wrap it around so it's palm towards you, just to add a little bit more tension through the upper body. Hang out here, take some deep breaths. You want to see that from the front? It's in front of my right thigh, it's lined up with my left heel. My hand is on the grip. I'm coming forward, bowing forward, turning my palm towards me, and starting to rotate my body across. Almost trying to drop my right hip down to the floor in front of me. That's a big stretch from essentially my right quad all the way up into my lat and into my arm. That's great. I would do that on the other side. If we're going to do QL, something else that can restrict our side bending, this one's a little bit complicated. So my stick goes outside my thigh. So now it's on the outside. It's about halfway up my thigh. From this position, I have to get my other hand, my right hand, as this is on my left, onto the grip. The stick currently is in front of my chest and in front of my shoulder. I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to swim move to get past it, grab the grip on the bottom. From this position, I need to try to take some nice big deep breaths and really let this right side again lengthen as much as I can. And if you can, the best thing to do to get this, we're trying to induce a left side bend. So if you can almost start with this stick coming underneath your thigh and get a hand on it there, already I'm in a big side bend, and then the second I get this past me, there becomes a pretty good amount of tension that feels like I'm getting pulled this way, almost like a bow and arrow. And I'm taking deep breaths and hanging out here. And this one can be very hard for people, especially those with shoulder pain, so really be very careful with how you get into that position. We want to be in an externally rotated position, so that's palm towards you. If we go, or sorry, palm away from you. If you go palm towards you, that's likely to cause a little bit more impingement and discomfort. So think palm facing away on this one. Last one. I think this is one of the best drills. So I have a paper plate. I'm on a like a little AstroTurf here. If you're on carpet, you're going to need something hard that slides. If you're on hardwood or tile, throw a towel underneath the other end of this. So I just have paper plates here. You're going to hold the stick on the grip ends. Kneel whatever way is comfortable. If you need pads under your knees, I haven't said that yet, throw pads under your knees, towels, blankets, whatever makes it tolerable so that you can kneel. I'm going to take the right side in this case. I'm going to put it on to my sliding surface, paper plate, whatever it needs to be. I'm going to bow forward and I'm going to push it down the line as if I was hitting the ball into the range. Down the line with my right hand, my left hand goes high to the ceiling, and you can see I'm trying to get a shoulder stack here. I'm trying to rotate through my chest, not through my hips. And the more you can sit back onto your heels, the more you can take the hips out of it. And again, this is big stretch on my chest. Big stretch on my chest, a lot of obliques on both sides. Deep breaths here. Every exhale, see if you can inch out a little bit further. And then the same thing to the other side. Just rotate the hands over, push it away from you, drop the shoulder down to the ground. Real big deep breaths. And those are some of my favorite things to do with stick mobility. So again, if you guys already don't, please subscribe to my channel. Please leave me comments. Whatever you want to see, I'm happy to answer questions. I'm happy to do demos. I do love this product. I don't support a lot of products as much as I do this one. It's been great. It's helped a lot of my clients. It's a very simple tool. They put out a lot of free resources. I think it's a great company. So if you're interested, head over to Stick Mobility. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate the support.